We are ANN, and this is Planet Talk.
Hello and welcome to Planet Talk. My name is Alex Stein, and I will be your host for today, which is March 25th, 2021. Now today, the transiting moon is opposite Jupiter. This is a one-day aspect that just basically tells us about the mood of the day. And with Moon Jupiter, it's a good day to stretch out, let your perspective expand a little bit. I think that a lot of the problems that we're facing today come from our reflexive sort of conditioned responses to things and the way we kind of tighten up and constrict around our worldviews, which mainly rest on our own emotional conditioning. That's the level of the moon. Now, Jupiter moon has this kind of warm, generous, expansive kind of mood to it. You know, with Jupiter moon, I think of a big meal laid out before you, you know, where the wine is flowing and, you know, people are eating big turkey legs and, you know, laughing heartily, ho, ho, ho. It's a very Santa Claus kind of a thing. And it's a very welcome energy in a time like this where, you know, so many people have been, you know, hunkered down at home under the pandemic, or hunkered down in their, you know, various belief systems. Belief systems being another Jupiter thing. This is a nice time. You know, it's a good day to just see if something new appeals to you. You know, enjoy a new view of the world. Maybe even take a walk down a street in your neighborhood that you've never been down before. The moon relates to what is familiar. You know, the home. Jupiter to the expanded perspective. You know, this is why Jupiter relates to travel or higher learning. So I know that under a Jupiter moon aspect, transiting Jupiter to my natal moon, I had an amazing experience of discovering a new trail where I used to live, a new hiking trail where I used to live that I'd never been on before. And I had long ago thought that I had seen every trail in that area like 100 times. And I suddenly found this new trail that gave me a new view of things. And it was just like, hallelujah. So that's a Moon Jupiter kind of a thing that, you know, just for today, just a teeny weeny little bit, we might experience if we let ourselves do so. So it can be very nourishing and opening. So let yourself go there. The Sun-Venus conjunction is exact today, you know, bringing with it more of this sense of like, all right, time to get social again, time to have fun. The urge to congregate is strong. So, you know, if you're going to do it, please be safe. The urge for artistic expression, also very strong. So whether or not you have any cultivated artistic skill, you know, try to do something if you feel so moved. Bust out the finger paints, sing a little, whatever, or just listen to music or dance. All of this is Venusian territory. Now, Mercury is also square Mars and moving into conjunction with Neptune. With the Mercury-Mars aspect, you know, say we're getting a little bit more social because Sun and Venus are conjunct. Mercury-Mars is going to really grease the wheels of our communication. It loosens the tongue, but it also sharpens the tongue. So we might really just find ourselves yakking away, but also with more of a tendency to want to sling opinions about. And, you know, given the terrain of today's discourse, I have some ideas about where that might go. And in fact, have even, you know, experienced some, you know, not too nice political. I wouldn't call it arguing. It was more just being awash in somebody's blowhorn. So that's on the personal level. Now, if we're looking at the level of the news, I think that what's going on really reflects the Mercury, Mars, and Neptune aspect. So it's Mercury, Neptune conjunction, square Mars. And one of the ways in which this is showing up is that we're once again talking, Mercury, about guns, Mars, in the wake of two mass shootings, and and all of the stories once again are constellated on both sides, and I don't know. I'm hopeful that maybe some real progress will be made this time around, but who knows? Um, but I don't really want to focus on the gun control stuff today. Um, I I want to focus instead on the fact that today tech CEOs are testifying before Congress about their company's role in the spread of misinformation, or what I'd rather call disinformation, which is more deliberately manipulated information. Um, Now, when we involve Mercury with, Neptune with Mercury and Mars, we're bringing in the Neptunian dimension of the collective dream, of the myths that we live that we don't know are myths, of the just the transcendent realm from which all of our kind of guiding images and symbols come down to us. Um, Now, Neptune is very often, in some schools of astrology, see Neptune as a bad planet because it brings with it so much illusion and deception. And I don't see Neptune. I don't see any planet as a bad planet, but certainly the shadow of Neptune is that illusion and deception because we're talking about the dream realm, and we're talking about the images that really hook us. And I think with Neptune, Neptune pulls us toward what we ultimately, and most fundamentally desire, which is union with the divine. And so anything that kind of gives us the whiff of that, which would be our mythologies, our, our our deepest longings, whatever. All of that kind of partakes of Neptune. Now, we're easily duped, therefore, when it comes to Neptune. And when we combine Neptune with Mercury, we're looking at the ocean of information. We're looking at the way words can be used to draw down Neptunian symbolism. On the positive side, it's a great aspect for poetry, for really resonant metaphors, for powerful images conveyed through words. Bob Dylan has this aspect. So did Ronald Reagan. People who can spin a kind of mythology that people really can hook into through their words. This is Mercury Neptune stuff. When we look at Mercury Neptune related to social media, it's easy to see the connection. The ocean, Neptune of information, Mercury. And then the way that social media just has allowed information to become so fluid in both good and really terrible ways. Now, including Mars in this, Mars Neptune on the low side, can be sneaky and deceptive and kind of really toxic, kind of manipulative energy. It's there's a kind of mind control dimension sometimes with it, a gaslighting kind of a quality. Now the high side of Mercury, Mars, Neptune would be the spiritual warrior whose pen is indeed mightier than their sword. It's not right. It's not all bad and sneaky and deceptive. It's interesting to see how the two sides in Congress are coming at this issue about social media and its role in the spread of disinformation. Democrats, on the one hand, seem to be very concerned with the threat, essentially, that disinformation poses. Conservatives, on the other hand, are seeing any efforts to curtail this threat as a threat to their own ideology. One of them, let me just consult my notes here for a second. Just to give an example, one Congressman, Frank Pallone Jr., told the CEOs today, "You're not bystanders. What happens online doesn't stay online. It has real world consequences. You're not nonprofits or religious organizations that are trying to do a good job for humanity. You're making money." So they're, showing that, essentially highlighting the fact that these people do have a responsibility. They do have a role. It's not like they just are completely impartial and their platform is just this freely operating thing. This also has connections with Saturn, Uranus, which I'll get to in a second. Now, on the other hand, Congressman Scalise, a Republican, told them, "Just recognize that if you become viewed and continue to become viewed as an anti-conservatively biased platform, there will be other people that step up to compete and ultimately take millions of people from Twitter." And actually, Trump is thinking about launching his own social media network in the next couple of months. Now, so in both cases, right, we've got fighting words from different angles, okay? So that's, again, Mercury, Mars. But also, you can see that, at least from my perspective, the way Republicans are spinning it as any attempt to bring some kind of stability into the system would be basically anti-conservative effort. And well, I don't think that's true. I think there's all kinds of insanity to go around on both sides when it comes to misinformation and disinformation. Anyway, now drawing in the Saturn-Uranus angle on this, historically, these social media platforms and their CEOs have had a kind of libertarian sort of approach to things, of saying, we're not going to involve ourselves at all. That's not right. This is the free flow of information, et cetera, et cetera. And my question would be, well, how free exactly is it, right? These are platforms that are designed to make money. They operate on algorithms that are very good at turning people into consumers of information, and that work themselves up to a greater and greater degree, the more people hook into certain kinds of information, i.e. the more sensational the information. So they really have become breeding grounds for basically information contagions. And the idea of some kind of abstract freedom, I think, is being put to the test right now by Saturn. We bandy around the word freedom in America, and different people mean different things by it, to the extent that we identify with some opaque, idealized version of freedom. So I don't think there's such a thing as total freedom. And I think that it's Saturn's job to let us know that, and to let us know that if we want real freedom, the best freedom we can have, we need to make some kinds of sacrifices. We need to take some kind of responsibility. Ain't no such thing as just plain old freedom. And hopefully, some progress might be made here. Some accountability on the part of these social media platforms, might be had. I think that's all I'm going to say on this stuff for today. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks.